Well, the scrapyard motor mounts worked fine. 3 of the 4 bolts lined up. This bottom one right here, and this bottom one right here. They were about, I'd say, 5/16 off on the bolt location from the mounts out of the Cyclone to the cross member. Luckily, they didn't really even land in the hole. Maybe like a sliver, a 1/16 of an inch of the bolt hole was exposed. So I just drilled a 5/16 hole and then hit it with a 3/8 bit to clearance it. So now I got bolt-in V8 motor mounts. I got new rubbers sitting over there that I got to look at and figure out if it's got to go on the block first or if I should drop them onto the pad here. Haven't decided yet, but one step closer to dropping this in. Hopefully I can have the motor and trans and drivetrain in. I'm probably going to pull the cross member out just to give myself a little bit more clearance and figure out where those need to go. I don't know where the AOD trans is going to land on there since that never came in this car. I'm hoping it's kind of like the van. I actually haven't even looked underneath on the bolts for the cross member yet. On the van, I was able to just move it back to the other 2 bolt holes and didn't have to change anything else. I found the drive shaft banging around in the car or in the side of the garage when I started emptying some parts out. And most of the other stuff I got is in the trunk, so just a matter of getting the motor and trans together today before we go to work. 70 to 80 foot-pounds on these. I got it set to 60 right now, so I'll sneak up on it. Star pattern. Now we're at the 80. The flywheel's going to want to try and turn the crank over on you, so all of my TDC marks, I'm just going to have to bounce that back. So got that all set. Flywheel's in. Now I can start looking at the torque converter and start doing some of the trans prep. Alright, over at the AOD trans, it's pretty clean on the inside, like inside the torque converter bell housing area. Outside, it's got a little grease and grime on it. I'll clean that up at some point, but I'm not overly worried about it right now. Here's the torque converter that came out of the car. It's filled. I can fit a little bit more in there, but that should be plenty to drop in. I did have the luxury of being able to actually drive this car prior to the motor coming out of it, so I know that it should be fine. There we go. Make sure when you're putting the converter in, you click all 3 to make sure it's engaged. One way to check that, if the torque converter is not tucked below the bell housing here, the face of this trans, then it is not fully seated or engaged on the pump. Okay, I don't know if that's going to pick up on the camera install-wise or sound-wise, but I definitely felt that one drop all the way back. Sometimes you got to shimmy and wiggle them a little bit. And then what I like to do is line up your drain at the bottom. Should help with alignment when this goes into the flywheel. Okay, so I had this motor set to TDC. It shifted when I tightened down the flywheel brackets. So, as expected, here's my marks now. The labeled ones that I went over in another video. So basically what I need to do now is disregard the timing for this current moment. And I need to rotate this motor over to line up. Like I said, I like lining this drain plug on the torque converter up down at the bottom. But in order to do that, I need to make sure that I line up these torque converter flywheel bolts with that. So basically I got to rotate this motor over until I can get those at 6 o'clock. Which is going to be super fun while it's on the hoist. And all the spark plugs are in. So, almost there. A little bit more. I think that ought to do it for now. It should get me at least in the right ballpark. Now we can come over here. And you guys can watch me struggle trying to mate these by myself. This is much easier if you got a buddy helping you. If I run into issues, I might go that route too. Call in a favor. So right now the motor's sitting pretty cocked. So I gotta try and figure out a way to straighten that out. I'm not sure exactly what I need to do here. Maybe move back one link on the chain. That's not what I want at all. Not sure if the tire is going to help or hurt me in this case. Might actually just have to set the pan down differently, or set the motor down differently. Definitely going to need to readjust that chain too. So, in order to do that, bring this down. See what one link does. Still trying to turn on me. This is one of those cases where your alignment tool or adjustable hoist leveling attachment would definitely come in handy. Up and see if I can reposition this tire a little bit, because even as it sits now, lifted up, it's not anywhere near level. Be cool if the headers were on too, so I had somewhere to grab or shift this motor, but I don't. Try some 2x4s and get all sorts of weird here. Basically, I just need to put something underneath this front tire to support the balancer. I think that should help. Just doing a bunch of woodworking. I don't know where I put all those extra pieces. It's more of the angle I'm looking for. Just not straight. That's almost it. I'm just a little too low now. Smidge higher. Trying not to have to move it too much because this is pretty much right where I want it. I got one stud through on the converter. So that's through the flywheel like it's supposed to be. A little bit of play there. Let me see if I can get a bolt on the back side of that just to catch one. Might make it a little bit easier on me. I did not fully torque down, but enough to keep them at least somewhat together. Drain plug's lined up where it's supposed to be. And let's see what happens if I bring this down just a scotch. Alright, this will work. Let me grab another block of wood. This is very crude, but working by yourself out here, sometimes you just gotta make do. This way I can at least try and get one of these threaded if I can get this to line up proper. That needs to go there. And I need this over. Alright, so I got 2 threads in there. It's not all the way seated, which is okay. Again, working by myself makes it a little bit more difficult to line these up perfect. Studs look like they're going through the flex plate like they're supposed to. I guess it's a little janky this way, but I'm not going to snug these down all the way, but I am actually going to pull these in just a hair. I don't remember what size that is. 5/8, 11/16, something like that. I think they're 5/8. This is definitely not the recommended practice. You want to seat these flush, but I'm here by myself, so trying to work the engine lift and the dolly and lift the trans and get all that laid out individually. Not an easy task. One helper would have done wonders here. You definitely don't want to do this in a clutch application. And I need a couple more bolts. I don't know what I have in terms of hardware for this. So let me just raid the bin. Not a lot of people want to watch clumsiness, but that's really how this goes. It's not really a drop-in, quick and easy process. It's kind of a hassle. Not overly hard, but I'm not using an impact on this because I'm really not trying to force these together. Just drawing it in a little bit at a time. I don't really want to torque anything down yet. Now I'm going to play with the motor here. See if that helps on the alignment. Me. Definitely on the dowel pin over here. This tire is hurting me a little bit now too. But let's see what happens if I wiggle this around a bit. See where this wants to go. Now I'll come back down a bit. Definitely going to need some longer bolts. And I kind of want to reconfigure this a little bit. Let me keep wrestling this on and we'll get back to you later.